That's enough faffing about. I think I'm good to go. Yes. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are. I am Tom. I am the Astro Canuck, and we are having another rainy day astronomy session because, well, it's raining and we're loaded up with clouds. Paul Games for Paul Rowe. Thank you very much for joining in there. Good to see you. Fulmine, how are you? Putzi, lurking in the background. Tux was not available. Tux, how you doing? Good to see you guys in here. Cool, yeah, no worries for lurking. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Tux. Thank you very much for joining the observatory. Welcome to our community. We will, anytime we have a nice clear night, we're going to be shooting live images of outer space. And for the times when it's nice and cloudy, we're just going to be chatting about astronomy, astrophotography, kind of anything else in between. And we'll do some image processing like what we're going to be doing tonight, provided Photoshop doesn't crash. And what I'm going to try and do is a quick kind of 10-minute process on this image, just in case Photoshop does crash and we don't lose a lot of time. And I've already kind of pre-rendered the image, kind of got it ready to go. And yeah, just kind of having a little bit of fun, just hanging out. First Fusion, Poggers, how you doing? Good to see you. I've been trying to do some tiny little bits of tweaking on the stream, trying to make it as efficient as possible and reduce as much lag that's kind of coming up on the with the PC. So yeah, hopefully what I've done has changed things and for the better, so we don't have any issues. I think there's still that problem where the internet might cut out, which is I'm still not sure why. It's got to be an ISP problem, so I really need to get a hold of them. And I keep saying that over and over, but it's one of those things that once I realize what's going on there. Paul Rowe, thank you very much for the tier 1 subscription. Thank you so much. Appreciate that very much. You are now an assistant at the observatory. I appreciate that so much. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to still be working on things for more tier 1 options, but I appreciate that very much. We're much closer to our subscriber goal. We're at 12. We just need I don't need 3 more. It's just one of those things. Paul Rowe, too generous. Thank you so much. Thank you. First Fusion, you are now an assistant to the observatory. Thank you so much for joining in there. I appreciate that incredibly. So, Paul Rowe, thank you so much. I appreciate that immensely. Like I've said before, any money that's going to be coming into this channel is going to be used for upgrading the equipment and just being able to try and bring you guys better images for a longer period of time. And we'll yeah, just be able to image longer. I think that right now the main problem that we're having is condensation building up on the scope. So, you know, that's the next thing that we're going to be upgrading, so we can pretty much go all night with the scope when we have the clear skies available. Thank you so much for the subscriptions there. Fusion, I think you might need a refresh on there, and then your emotes will start showing up. But you know, thank you guys so much. Shaving foam trick. I probably wouldn't be putting any of that on the telescope mirrors, but hey, you know, it's we wouldn't rule that. Oh, no, I wouldn't rule that out. I don't. Who knows that would do to the coatings? But hey, it's one of those things. But we are. You know, we have our scope set up, as always. He is, actually I don't really have a name for the scope or anything like that, but maybe we'll come up with something. But it is ready to go for Movember. It is sporting its tash, and we're hoping that it did kind of start to come off, so I did have to run out and retape it there. So it looks like it's back on and working there, so very happy for that. And yeah, just we're going to be looking at some older. Well, we'll always take a peek at some older images there. I do have some cool little bits about the Crab Nebula. We've been talking about that often because that's one of the more recent supernovas that has gone off in our solar system. So, or not a solar system, sorry. Oh God, we do not want a we. Okay. Also, if you hear that my voice is like very echoey, remind me that hey, clip your mic on so you actually we can hear you. There we go. Cool. Yeah, fusion. That is all right for those. I think a lot of the Putsy fam is in the observatory at the moment. So Putsy is playing Phasmophobia. I can see. So that is a game that I haven't played in a while. So it's missed it a little bit. I think the allure hasn't worn off for me. So I will be. There we go. Your voice is not exactly. Yeah, if I don't clip my mic on and it's sitting somewhere else on the desk, then it is. Yeah, it's going to be a little more echoey. So yeah, that's one of the things. It's overall setup for the stream. I'm happy with what it is, and that's not going to be where any money is going. So everything goes towards the astronomy gear, and I think basically anything out of my own like personal funds is really going to go towards small upgrades for the stream. But those are stuff that you guys aren't really going to benefit from. So yeah, it's all astronomy dedicated for the funds that come in there. So yes, yeah, quick little rundown of where I am. Again, Paul, thank you for joining in. Thank you so much for the gifted subs and your subscription. And I am in the UK. I'm in the east of England, and when we do have clear skies, boy, do we have clear skies. And I'm not in a highly light polluted area. I'm kind of in like a middle ground of what the range would be. So when the skies are clear, we're doing great. We're very happy with all the skies. So I was going to ask where you are for all this, and I saw you're in the UK. Ever come up to Scotland to do stuff? I was up in Scotland last year and a half ago, and I did go to one of the dark sky observatories, and it was probably about, I guess, close. It was around the time of the Perseid meteor shower, so we were kind of there at the height. However, it was cloudy, and there was some rain. We had some few clear gaps in the clouds, so we did kind of go out there and look. But yeah, I love Scotland. We did we drove right from where we were near London, and kind of did a big tour up there. Some rain. Actually, no, there was one day when we were in Edinburgh, and oh my God, that was the hardest I've ever seen it rain. It was one of we made it. We had an effect on the weather. It was pouring rain, and we figured we'd jump in a shop and get a poncho, buy it from one of the shops there. Had a nice big Scotland poncho, threw them on, got outside. It never rained for the rest of the trip. So that's the trick. Be a tourist, buy a poncho, and control the weather. It's yeah, the weather. I mean, kind of where, like, I guess, Scotland being so much farther north, you kind of get the way how that Gulf Stream kind of comes up and over and around, and yeah, you get some really high winds. Like, actually, right now we're kind of at about sustained 20-mile-an-hour winds. So even if it was clear, we definitely wouldn't be able to do any shooting there. All right, cool. We're yeah. Where did we go? We went. We did Edinburgh, Oban, Inverness, kind of as much of a loop as the time off work would permit. So yeah, lots of incredible scenery up there, and it's one of those places where I kind of want to go back in a different season just to see how the landscape changes. So, barring some not permanence, but a little more like COVID dragging out and we'll. There goes the internet again. It'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. Internet will come back. Internet had better come back. A little F. A little F. Oh, that is the thing. I really gotta get a hold of my ISP, because this is so weird that it happens. It's so unnecessary too. Like, I'm connected to the Ethernet, and I have high speed internet. I have all the I'm seeing network problems. 346 dropped frames from the network. So can only hope it sorts thatself out. Although it might just, I don't know what it can be sometimes. But hey, we're back, and it has never actually fully cut out on me. There is some hiccups that pop up there, and yeah, it's just kind of one of those things I'll deal with, and kind of let you guys know ahead of time that, yeah, if it kind of slows down, it'll be back. I'll be back, and after that, everything kind of runs nice and really well. So, we're up at the full 6,000 kilobytes. Yeah, Scotland is lovely. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Kind of sucks, but lovely at the same time. I can see how there is the benefit of a bit of isolation, and the beauty that can kind of come along with that. And I imagine being that far for us, you're more privy to seeing some northern lights as well, because we don't. It's rare that it kind of reaches down this far south, and I have been up in the northern territories in Canada, and I've seen the northern lights, and it was really cool. I mean, it's just almost an eerie kind of vision there. So I saw faint northern lights about a few years ago. Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on the solar activity as well. We were at a solar minimum, and we're kind of it's a little bit on the, I believe it's on the uptick now. So in the next, probably the next couple years, things will start to be a little more active as well. And I know I've seen some advertisements for some cruise excursions, I guess up in a little farther up in like Norway and things like that, where they're saying you're almost, if there's no northern lights for the trip, you get like a certain percentage of money back. So I guess they really heavily rely on that. Arij, how are you? Hope you're well. Hope I am well. I'm really well. Thank you very much. Hope you are the same. Find you just as well, because we are going to attempt to do some quick 10-minute astrophotography processing. Valhalla Viking, nice beard. Thank you. Thank you very much. I grew it myself. How are you doing? Thanks for joining in. We're going to be just doing some chatting, and we're going to be doing some astrophotography processing. And we'll just kind of look at some previous images that have been shot. I got some cool little visuals on the Crab Nebula, which is we've been kind of talking about that every now and then, now that it's a target that's high in the sky and available most of the night there. So we are doing what we can to just kind of keep it going while we have cloudy skies. And we'll take a look at the images shortly. I just kind of did the stacking of the image, because it's we do that. You can't see the way how OBS processes the programs. You actually can't see the tools that pop up, which is a little annoying, because that's part of the process that goes there. So pretty bold claim to make when they risk losing money. Yeah, I think they also kind of plan it around the times when there are I guess the longer nights, so you can have a chance to see more of the northern lights there. Nice beard. Hey, thank you. We are processing the entirety of the Heart Nebula. We've been shooting some deep field images of the core of the Heart Nebula, but I also had a chance, before I switched up telescopes, to shoot a wider field of the whole nebula complex there. So what we are looking at is let's see, let's go to in Stellarium, see if they show the visuals in there. All right. Okay, so far so good. It actually looks like our Astro Canuck bot is doing its job and throwing up some of the notifications there. And well, I'm going to fine tune those things because the timings, I don't want it to be popping up so frequently, but just enough that remind you guys of what else is going on outside of this channel and while we're away there. But in Stellarium, this is the area of the night sky. Ooh, what was that? Apparently I hit a hotkey of some sort. Right. So this area of the night sky, which is in Cassiopeia, is the Heart Nebula, and usually we've been kind of shooting the core of the things there. OBS should see tools, etc. if capture is enabled. If that doesn't work, then you can try capturing Windows 7, 8, 10 drop down. Yeah, that's true. But I'll see what that looks like for Deep Sky Stacker. I know when I have Illustrator open, there's tons of windows that can be captured there, and that's a lot of the tools. And because I'm also a graphic designer, I do have it set up with the 2 monitors and every tool window open. So there's probably about 30 different windows that are available from the drop-down list there. So that's something I'd have to look into a little more and see, make sure we have that all together there. So yeah, the Heart Nebula is in kind of the northeastern area of the sky, near Cassiopeia, and usually we've been kind of shooting like the core of this there. Your 5 monitor setup. Yeah, I would like to have, I think overall I would like to have 3, maybe 4 at most. I mean, that'll be that's way down the road for what's going to happen for the overall stream. But yeah, I do want to have a few more windows available so I can spread out the tools as well. So like I said, we've been imaging kind of like this the central part of the Heart Nebula, but with the telescope that I was using. Let's put our reducer on there. Am I correct in believing there's another space launch over in the US with SpaceX? They've been doing a lot of launches with SpaceX. I haven't seen what's going on today. So we'll see what's up there. Interesting. The emotes seem to be mucking around a bit. Yeah, no, I can see when I send an emote. Sorry, we're jumping back and forth here on here. I can see an emote that I send. However, it looks like a bit of, yeah, I can see it on Putsy's stream. He's having a bit of a problem with the emotes. We'll I'm sure they'll get that sorted out. I'm sure they're aware that there's issues. So with the Heart Nebula, this red box that we do have around this whole complex there is the smaller refractor telescope that I have that we hook up there. So this Stellarium, it's a free planetary software, and what it does, it kind of helps you just kind of take your own little quick tour of the night sky, and it also helps you frame up your targets of what you want to shoot. So the camera that I have has a square sensor, and I'd hate if we're not the Dino Gang. So it's square sensor that's on the camera, and it's a wider view. This is, like I said, with our reducer that's on the telescope, and with the larger telescope that you have connected right now is, oop, that's a little too far. It's a much more zoomed in area, so we're capturing much finer details, and you're not getting as much of the whole picture there. So actually, there you go. Thank you for the good timing of the Astro Canuck bot. Kind of gives a quick rundown of the equipment that is connected at the moment there. So any questions about that, I'm happy to answer those. But this is the kind of the view that we're expecting to see when I do a process of that there, and hopefully it looks a tiny bit better than this image represented within Stellarium. So I'll show you guys a quick view of what the single shot looks like, and that is the overall shape does resemble a heart, and there is part of the another little bit on the end there of the tail that kind of looks like a fish head there. But yeah, overall that shape, that central area is kind of what's forming the entire shape of this nebula, that star forming region, kind of pushing out the gases, the hydrogen gases in the area, and just overall shaping this nebula formation out there, which is about, what's the thing? It's about let me get some information on the heart pulled up there. There you go. Also, we'll get the image of that. So that is IC 1805. So yeah, generally with the actually I'll show on the on my Instagram page here. So the center of the Heart Nebula is called Malot 15, and it's this area here that we have imaged before, and that's the like I said, the whole star forming region of this entire nebula. And a lot of these areas, these kind of formations of the clouds of hydrogen gas that you're seeing, is being formed by these younger, hotter stars in the area that are the solar winds. The radiation is just kind of pushing those clouds away, and eventually a lot of the nebula complexes will just kind of either coalesce into new stars, or they'll just kind of disperse so widely that they will kind of populate the rest of the universe. And that's basically kind of how you form new stars, is as all these materials are ejected from the birth of stars, from the death of stars, you're forming like those heavier elements in when a star dies and explodes in a supernova, and that way you're getting all these other materials, these heavier elements that are formed, that kind of help kind of create the planets, and a lot of like any potential life, essentially. I don't really get into that, or the theoretical ideas of how much life is actually out there, but yeah, that's the kind of the central area of the nebula that we're looking at. So that is a completely processed image that I worked on there. And so if you're looking at a single shot of that, that's the same image that we're looking at now, but that is just a single exposure coming from the telescope on the camera there. So I believe there is something out there. There has to be. It's one of those things. It's a scary thought that if we are, I think it was Arthur C. Clarke that was saying if we are, there's only two possibilities: that we are completely alone in the universe, and that's insanely scary, or there's something else out there in the universe, and that is just as scary as well. So it's one of those things. Which one do you want? Like, you pose the question of if you have an envelope with the answer, a definitive answer of whether or not we're alone in the universe, do you want to know that answer? Because either way, it's going to change. Well, it may not, depending on how much it impacts you, but that can change your perception on everything, knowing whether or not we're alone. And I guess it's that little bit of ambiguity and just that wonder, that hope that maybe there is something else out there, or maybe it is better that there isn't anything else out there. So the way I see it, if we cease to exist, then what? Space just continues on its own without nothing happening. That is, that's true. You want to think that there's something else to observe what's out there, because otherwise, everything's going to carry on no matter what. But it's to be able to observe that, and I think that's a bit of what really draws me into to astronomy and astrophotography, is just knowing that there's so much more out there, and so many interesting objects, and so much wonder that's out there, and just knowing that every single point of light that we're looking at are entire solar systems in itself, and whether or not they're a hostile environment, depending on where the kind of the planets in there are situated, is one of those things that just has to be discovered as time goes on with science. So it's just one of those things that sometimes I get that bit of like that existential dread, looking up the sky and kind of wondering there, but it's also just part of the whole the allure of astronomy. So that's this was a click on the wrong window. That's a all honesty, space travel is a long way away. That's for anything like that, you're looking at, even to travel to like the nearest solar system, to the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, it's 4 light years. And while it doesn't sound like an incredible distance, you think of the Voyager spacecrafts that are traveling at about 53,000 kilometers per second, or 53,000 kilometers per hour, and at that speed, that's basically the fastest man-made object traveling out in space. It'll take it about 800,000 years to reach Proxima Centauri. So, you're even if we could travel at higher speeds, you still have to build generation ships, and it's one of those things that maybe if we can harness the speed of light, totally hypothetically, it's only the finite amount of speed that you can travel before you basically just become a particle or a wave, So it's a weird thing to think about. I mean, there's tons of science fiction out there that's fantastic to watch, and as long as you get like a decent movie that will ground itself to the science as much as possible, I think they're able to tell a little bit of a better story, rather than absolutely suspending all belief, and it's just kind of like, oh well, that's Hollywood for you. Slinging something there, though, is all well and good, but it ain't coming back. No. And we can only hope that you're going to keep receiving information from the Voyager satellites, and just try and gather as much information of what's out there. Star Trek, it's like Star Trek, for instance. They can travel everywhere, but G-forces, etc., you wouldn't be able to walk around, etc. yeah, I mean, their explanation of how they're traveling that fast is, beyond of what any capabilities are for things out there. But I mean, even no, I mean, I keep going back to Futurama for some reason because while they do as much research as they can for the science, and they just for them able to travel as fast as they do, they've just increased what the speed of light is so they could travel faster. You know, just one of those silly things. Oh, where did everything go? All my windows just minimized. Crazy. Right, so that is the like I said, the a single shot of the image there. And once we've stacked the image, that's in Deep Sky Stacker. This is what we're left with here, which is a very kind of washed out image, and we do have to process that out there. I like to think we can discover hyperspace travel like hitchhikers, and change into fruits, teddy bears, etc., and then zip off. I've never seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so I apologize. It's on my to-do list, I swear. I will watch it. I'll watch to save the sub. It's on the list. I mean, it's one of those the pop culture references that is, I think, just very important to the overall community of space. Right, so we'll see what I can do to check that out for sure. Right, so yeah, what we have here is the image in Deep Sky Stacker, and you can kind of like see in that upper left window as I'm moving the mouse around, you can see that there's all these little frames that are misaligned, and that's from when the telescope is guiding, that after every shot it'll slightly move a little bit, so you're averaging out any of that the noise that kind of comes from the camera there. No, I think it's I don't have specs yet. That would be exclamation kit. That'll be for the telescope equipment I'm using. I've just started adding in a lot of the controls for the bot, so still working on getting those in there. But that's another thing I will be adding. That is on the list of things to do. Just been trying to get it to find out what's the important little bits of information. So yeah, specs will be next. All right, now the big challenge of the night. I'm going to get that saved. I'm going to close down Deep Sky Stacker, save up on the usage there, and we'll attempt to get Photoshop to do its thing. So we've had problems with Photoshop in the past, and like I said, we also had problems with it crashing. So before we kind of get into no, you know, it's this is what I do. I like that I have a plan for the night, and it can go off the rails nice and quick, and that's totally fine. That's it's what I enjoy, just to be able to just share ideas and just have things that that'll be that kind of makes things go off in a direction that we may not know. All right, fine. Here, let's have it. I've already cracked them recently. Yeah, so sometimes Photoshop works. I mean, in the past it was working, but ever since I upgraded to 2021, it hasn't been cooperating as much. So perhaps it has actually updated. That was last week when we were trying to do some processing. So hopefully, maybe Adobe has thrown out a quick patch or something like that. So, what got you into space, etc.? Was it a telescope as a kid for Christmas? No, that's cool. It was. I've always had that kind of interest in with outer space, and it really, from my earliest memory of being amazed, was looking at like the National Geographic magazines, and when they would have pictures from the Hubble telescope, and it's just those like the blues and the kind of the rusty colors that was and the purples that kind of come out from the way how the images from Hubble are processed. And it was just kind of it was that like, holy cow, is that what space looks like? And realizing a little later on that that's a bit of they're false colors, just a way how to highlight some of the areas in space, because essentially kind of what comes through in the red end of the spectrum is applied to a different color visually with the Hubble palette. And whereas some of the images that we'll see kind of coming through on my scope, it's kind of closer to the colors that are represented in the visible spectrum. So the reds are going to be like the hydrogen gas. You'll see like blue stars, and those are like the younger, hotter stars. You see the red stars, which are kind of the older, larger stars. And also DJ Billy, thank you very much for joining the observatory. We appreciate you joining our community. Thank you so much. We hope you will enjoy the wonders of the universe that I can offer to you guys, and any bit of the little bit of knowledge of astronomy that I have. We're trying to jump in there and do some Putsy. Holy potatoes, 40. How you doing? How are you? How are you guys doing? Holy moly. Hey, listen, thank you guys so much for joining in. We are, you see, Paul, this is what happens. Things like this happen, and we are totally off the rails for all this. Mojo Jojo, how are you? First Fusion. Tux, yes, I remember you from earlier. I don't have that short of a memory. Thanks for joining in. Glad to see the Putsy fam coming in. We are doing as much as we can with astronomy. We are clouded out. This is our rainy day astronomy session, and we are like I said, we're clouded out. Here's what we're dealing with. We have our scope all covered up. We got cloudy skies. We're in the UK. We're in the east of England, and whenever we have a chance to be shooting live images of the night sky, that's what we're going to do. Fulmine, how you doing, little spammer? Good to see you. We are just trying to do as much as we can. DJ Billy, how are you? DJ Billy Deadpool, love me some Deadpool. One of my favorite Canadians. Yeah, like I said, we have the scope covered up at the moment. The scope is supporting Movember, and it was in its ghost costume earlier, but this is it's slowly just going to evolve for the seasons. Putsy, thank you very much. Alpha, how you doing? How are you doing, mate? We are processing some areas of the night sky. We are going to be we've taken some old images that we've shot there, and we are looking at right now. It'll be the Heart Nebula, and hopefully we're going to try and do a quick 10-minute process on this image to really bring out those details, and we'll see what kind of comes out there. Hopefully Photoshop cooperates, because it's a little annoying. Doing good, my man. You perfect. Doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Glad to have the Putzi fam coming in, and hope you guys had a good stream as well. I mean, I was watching. Always watching on the sidelines there. It's Putzi's got a fantastic and a fun stream. So yeah, Nebula is very beautiful things in life. Yes, they are. They are wonderful things to look at there. All right, Putzi, you be lurking. That is cool, man. Thank you very much for the raid. I appreciate that so much. And yeah. Was kind of hoping to get in on the action for Phasmophobia earlier, but I've been trying to do what I can to improve the stream a little bit there. So we'll maybe we'll next time we'll see how that goes there. Oh, you guys sharing the love. I love it. I love it. So yeah, like I said, we are always looking to improve the stream, always looking to improve the astrophotography, and yeah, just happy to shoot as much images of the night sky as possible. And right now we're going to be looking at what has been processed before. And just to give you an idea of the section of the sky that we're looking at, the area of the night sky is part of the Heart Nebula, and this image here is essentially the heart of the Heart Nebula that I had I've taken this image with the larger telescope that we're working with right now, and this is the nebula classified as Milot 15, and this is part of that larger complex that we were just looking at there. And this is one of those earlier images. So we'll see what we can pull out from this this other image that's been shot before, and it was with a smaller telescope that I shot this with, but it's also a much wider field, so we're able to see more of the nebula. Whereas the telescope we've been using recently is kind of like zoomed in essentially a lot more, at about almost 1,000 millimeters. So you're able to get these much greater details of the nebula. So what I do, I have two telescopes that I can use, and one is that wider field of view, and the other one is the more narrower, more zoomed in shot. So just a quick example of what we can expect to see is this entire red box is the wide field scope view and the size of the sensor of my camera. So when we're shooting that one, you get the entire complex, whereas when we have the other telescope, is much more zoomed in, so you're able to get more details, but at the risk, or at the cost of losing all these extra images on the outside. So there's always a better way to it depends on what you're shooting, is the level of focal length that you want to be shooting at there. Bruh, this guy's dope, not gonna lie. Thank you. Do what I can. Nebula do be looking kind of thick. It does. Depending on the angle, it's either a heart or a nice booty. So wait, Astro, are you a photographer? I am. I'm a photographer. I am a graphic designer, and I combine all that together to produce images of the night sky in as much detail as possible. Some nights we don't always have long, clear nights, so you don't always get the best image kind of coming out there. So you work with what you have, and so like I said, this is I'll show you actually what I had a 5-minute exposure. And usually when you're doing astrophotography, you do want to get as much integration time as possible on the images. This little, let's go back here. This image of the Heart Nebula is poorly processed to a degree. It was only a 5-minute shot with my with one of my older cameras, so you don't get a lot of detail. And what we'll kind of do is we'll do a little comparison between a single 5-minute shot and this image that's coming up is going to be a 3.5 hours worth of images. So I will jump into Photoshop and hopefully we can get this up and running as quickly as possible, because I want to be able to have a look at the image here, which is going to be the Heart Nebula, the entire complex of the Heart Nebula. So not just the zoomed in area, but one second. Let's just get that. Get that open there, and hopefully this plays ball and cooperates, because you know I like when things cooperate, technologically speaking. That's really cool. Yeah, cool. Alpha, I am, like I said, I'm very happy to be producing these images and doing what I can. Astro Addict, hello there. What are you on about? I am on about the Heart Nebula tonight. I am hoping that Photoshop is going to play ball, and we'll be able to take a look at, there we go. Hey, that's working. That is coming through. I'm gonna follow you real quick because I find this really interesting. Well, thank you. Thanks, Alpha. I appreciate that very much. So yeah, this is, let's not hit stop streaming. That button needs to be like hidden a lot better. Oop. If we go out of there we go. Okay, it seems to cooperate better when I'm in studio mode. So when we get an astrophotography image processed, we're kind of left with what looks very, very washed out, and there's not a lot of detail that we see in there. We can see some of the stars in the image there, but it does need a little bit of tweaking, and kind of some areas that you can see, you know, like up in the corners. Cancel that. Is you have like some of those like the black areas, and that is just how the image is shot, where after every image or after every few images you take, the scope is going to move ever so slightly, so it'll keep focus on the stars, but it will also kind of get rid of any noise that comes from like long exposures. Even if you are using a long exposure or a cooled camera, it's going to create a little bit of noise. But when you're using like an astronomy dedicated camera, the whole point of that one is to reduce any of that thermal noise that comes through on the camera there. So if you drop it to sub-zero temperatures, you're better able to see. Sorry, you're better able to see the signal kind of coming through there. Sorry, I just noticed that part of my still, there we go. Working on the overlay. It's not one person viewing. We got 17 you in here, and I appreciate that so much. For those of you who came in from Putsy's stream, and yeah, let's get on this image as quickly as possible so that if Photoshop crashes, we're not going to lose a whole lot of image here. So what I'm going to do kind of an abbreviated version of what is normally done for these images there. So I do want to crop that in a bit and just get rid of any of the corners that might have that if there's too much overlap or not enough overlap, you don't get as much data kind of coming through there. So you want to kind of get rid of that to start off with, so you're left with more of the proper data that you have in the image there. Just doing some Beat Saber bot stuff. Seeing all your bots reminded me to do mine. Yeah, it's one of those things that seems like a secondary or even like a tertiary thought of what to do on a stream. And yeah, remembering to set your bot up is one of those things that there's so many things. Once we reached affiliate just pretty much 2 weeks ago now, and all the faff that's kind of come with that is yeah, there's a lot to look after there. Just make sure that I don't want to leave anybody out. If there's anything kind of missing, I'm definitely not doing it on purpose. And I do, like I said, my IRL job is 9 to 5. It's a graphic design thing, but I'm not able to focus on any of this. So if I am kind of coming off of a work day or straight into a stream, there's not a whole lot of time in between there to tweak things up. But I said whenever the nights are clear, just going to be straight imaging on things there. How does streaming even work? That is a good question. I started doing it about a month and a half ago, and I've still got no real grasp on everything. There's so much to learn, and there's I'm doing what I can to try and keep it interesting, and not to leave things stale and stagnant. So I do want to be able to kind of keep you guys engaged with things, and it can be bad. It's a weird thing to choose. I mean, even astrophotography as a hobby is one of those things where you're sacrificing your nights, and it can be lonely at times, and especially if you're doing a lot of remote imaging. If you have like a rig that's better suited to be kind of taking it out in the car, driving out to the middle of nowhere, setting up your camera and shooting the night sky for a few hours, it's one of those things that it can be a solo job. But if you get the right community of people together, and you're able to do star parties and have like-minded people with the same goals, you're going to have a different go of it. And I think now with unfortunately with COVID, it's a little tough to kind of get back into those communities. And so in a way, this is how I like to share, to have our own little virtual star parties whenever the nights are clear. So, and just kind of having the conversation that goes on. You guys have your own conversations in the chat as well. That's totally fine. I just want to be able to build a nice, easygoing place to kind of share some ideas, and just just have a general chat about anything really. I mean, it's astronomy at heart here, but at the same, that is not even meant to be a pun with what we're working on today. But yeah, just easygoing place, and really it's just, I'm happy to have you guys in here. Even if you're lurking, I appreciate the lurks. You don't always have to jump in on the chat as well. If you're just happy to kind of listen to me drone on about some of my favorite science, it's just a good feeling to have this community kind of being built up there. I'm very happy to have you guys in. So we are, like I said, just free to chat about whatever. And if there's any questions that you have, I'm happy to try to answer them to the best of my ability. Sometimes I might share it with an anecdote. But there's also, some people who kind of pop in and they have, astrophotography experience as well. So if, I'm happy for other people to answer questions as well, because, I don't know everything. I've only been really doing astrophotography for about 4 years. So, I mean, there's tons more to be learning about everything. So we kind of learn as we go, and we'll learn together a little bit there. So so what is astronomy? Well, astronomy, we are studying the stars and any kind of objects in the night sky, any phenomena that occurs, like supernova. So yeah, we're studying any of the celestial objects in the night sky. It is based on mathematics, physics, chemistry. I myself am not a true astronomer in the sense of having a degree in astronomy, but I am doing a lot in the way of self-teaching and with reliable sources and actual textbooks from from educational facilities. So I am trying to provide as much correct information as possible and not trying to convey any kind of popular opinion about things which may not be true to a certain degree. I think one of my favorite ones is that that you can see the Great Wall of China from space, and really you can't. Part of it's also because it's built with the kind of the surrounding materials of the of the Earth itself, so it blends in easily to its surroundings. So things like that, it's you start to get up anywhere higher than like cruising altitude of an airplane, you really start to lose views of you can kind of pick out cities and things like that, but even the Great Wall of China is about 20 feet wide, and while it is miles long, it's it's so thin and almost insignificant from those kind of heights, and that it does blend in well with the surroundings. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I've picked up along the way, that what was kind of almost common knowledge. It's even thinner than like interstate highways, which you can't see from space. So it's just one of those things that I don't also want to be a contrarian and be a little bit, well, actually, and really I will only try to correct someone if I am totally sure of my knowledge as well. So I don't want to like rain on anyone's parade, and just try to gently throw in some facts. But yeah, it's just one of those things. For those of you who have just joined in, thank you very much. We're going to process. I'm going to do what I can to try and do maybe a 10-minute process, and I will try to quickly convey what's going on, because again, with some of the windows that just don't get picked up, you lose the information here. And if I start mucking about with some of the windows during the stream, who knows what's going to happen. Also, as I say, this is probably going to happen. If the stream kind of lags for a second there, it will be back. Want to make it a contest, the editing. No, I've seen your work, and it's it's way better than mine. And I still have, this is like I said, this is just a quick run through, and really I'm doing it quickly because Photoshop has crashed so often, and if we can kind of get a viewable image, then I'm happy there. And also, you may have seen how quickly I can kind of get off subject and just start rambling on about other things there. So I say 10 minutes, but we're probably going to be here like half an hour, 20 minutes, or half an hour, 40 minutes, and 3 hours later, and then we'll kind of get to the final image of the nebula. But this is data that's come from my smaller refractor, which somehow isn't as dark as the images that come from the larger RC8 telescope. So it's I'm not sure why, because they're both shooting at about f4, I guess, or maybe even the refractor might be like f3-ish using the reducer. But still, I don't see why there's such a huge difference. Like, I'm not stacking these images any differently, and I mean, I could probably compare the Malot 15 with this one, and it would still look almost totally different. So yeah, not too sure what is causing that. And I really would have to look into the no, don't want to do that. Let's make sure that's there. See what is doing that there. So we're going to move from what is a 32-bit image into a, there it goes. Haha, told you. We'll be back. We are still going to be here. We are still here. We're still here. We're still here. We're still here. We're still here. Told you we're still here. It's a little hiccup. I apologize for that. I still need to give my ISP an earful. So now that we've moved it into the 16-bit version, we do have some more options available, so we can start mucking about with the levels in the image there and start bringing out these details. Yeah, I wonder if it's me. At the same time, I also wonder if it actually might be something with Twitch itself, because it happens. It seems to happen with a bunch of people, so it's weird. So what I'm just doing right now, I've done a levels, and I've just kind of moved the end of the blacks up until we start to get to a little bit of data, and just a gentle curve stretch on here. You can already, I don't know, depending on your monitors there, we can already see a little bit of the nebulosity kind of coming through there. And what I want to do is set that gray point. You're recording Photoshop, but that does not include the settings windows. It's something with OBS. It doesn't pick up the almost. I would have to select each of the windows separately for them to show. If you do a recording, it seems to be fine. Everything shows up, but with the OBS, it doesn't display everything. Even with the window that I'm showing in Photoshop. It's, what do I got this on? I think it's labeled as a game capture. I'll try the different, I'll try the window capture next time there, but it doesn't always, it'll show like the whole, like the main body of Photoshop, but even like the windows that I'm working on, it's actually another separate window, another source that I have for the nebula here. So it is a finicky thing. And that looks like it's all right there. I'm happy with that. Screen capture is deadly. I'm bad for it. Oh yeah, it's just some weird things with how it's going to behave, and it is just kind of getting used to. Used to the software, which there's some things. Oof, that's terrible. Some things that I want to do that may not be specific to what a lot of other streamers use it for, because I know sometimes it'll used to be as easy as doing a window capture or a game capture, and there you go, you're off to the races. But some of the other stuff I'm using, I'm really forcing it to do what I want it to do there. All right, now it looks like that color balance has worked out well. We have We have nice variants of star colors there. So, you know, even with like the camera that I'm using, the ASI 533 MC Pro, and coupled with the ASI Air and the filter that I'm using, usually the old filter, the old camera, which is my streaming camera right now, I would get so many imperfections in the color and almost like an entire blue cast, despite doing a white balance on there. So with all this, with all the products kind of being the same and working together and knowing how it should be displaying your image there, has made it a lot better to process these images and not having to muck around so much with the settings and trying to get the colors just right. So that is one thing I'm very happy for. Now, one thing you kind of notice in here is that here at the center of the image, the stars are nice and round, very nice, beautiful, love them. And the farther out that you go, you kind of see this rounding of the stars, like these longer kind of egg-shaped football olives. And that is from me being, I believe it was too far away from the sensor, or not close enough to the sensor, or not the sensor, sorry, the reducer. And that either you're going to get the stars that are going to look like this, or they're going to be almost like a zoomed in effect where they're kind of coming out of the edges there. So it's you have to work with play around the spacing of your the scope there, because it doesn't always focus at the same the same focal plane there. So that's one of those things, just to get things set up properly, and you know, at the expense of what I'm doing at the moment. It's one of those things that I kind of have to work on at some point to make these images look a little better there. But what we're doing right now is, like I said, a quick process, and there are things that you can do to fix those kind of stars that are rounded and elongated at the ends there. But I have not got into that yet. I've seen there's some stuff for PixInsight that's come out, some processes that Sean Nielsen, a Canadian located in Kitchener, Ontario, in Canada, kind of close to my old hometown of Toronto, and he's done some amazing stuff as well there. And yeah, he's put out some interesting videos, and just recently started talking about what's available in another program called PixInsight, which I have kind of got into, but for the quickness and the ease of things, it's back to Photoshop just for now. But let's start to bring out some more details here, because if this crashes at any moment, then I've been rambling on and we've lost all that work. So I'm just going to bring those dual levels on there. And one more curves adjustment. And you can already start to see that the nebulosity kind of coming through there. And at this point, there's other things you do to, what I'm going to do is already start to bump up the star colors as well, just to make sure that sometimes you can lose some colors in the process there. And this is a set of astronomy tools that I had purchased a while back, and it's worked out pretty well. It helps Photoshop bend to your will. And a lot of these processes are fairly quick. This is going to resize the window there, but it's just going to bump up the star color, and as long as we can keep that, I usually run that twice just to put as much saturation in there as possible. Because like I said, sometimes the further processes can muck about with the colors there. You can wash them out a bit. So I mean, you can already see that it's a bit of a subtle change, but you can start to see from this point to now, you're getting the kind of the bluer stars, the red stars are really starting to pop in there. So there are some other processes in here that take a little while, and I don't know if I'm going to run that because while it can be beneficial, it also takes up a lot of time. And on a good day, it can take a few minutes, but I'll do some other workarounds to try and bring out these details there. Really just bringing it's getting darker, but I'm not clipping any data. So when we have the white screen, until we start to see, things like this coming through, that's when I know I'm clipping the data, and we're losing all that parts of the image there. So if I just kind of come up to the edge of that, and while it is darker, we're able to see some of those details coming through. And really already, because I'm loving the data that kind of comes from the refractor, the smaller telescope. It just kind of seems overall brighter. I don't want to, I want to always finesse this and not push things too quickly, or else you start to lose some of the details in there. But I mean, we're really starting to see that shape kind of coming through there, and the stars are maintaining their color. What I might do is I can reduce those stars a little bit so you can start to see more of that nebulosity, the surrounding area. I guess I've used these tools so often, but I need to highlight them. Now we're gonna have some jumping around with the window sizes there. And I usually run a couple, like the star color and the star reduction, and run those a couple of times. And you can already see now that there's the earlier version with the larger stars, because they kind of bloat a little bit in the camera there, depending on what you're looking at there. But from that point to that point there, it really highlights more of the nebula, and that's what we want to see in this image. And let's see what I can do. I can run another one. This is called local contrast enhancement. It's a minor change in there, but it does boost things up a little bit. And really from this point, I'm going to run a couple of different processes, and that's really, I'm going to say that's almost going to be it for this image. And like I said, just what comes through from the refractor is a lot brighter overall, and I think it is coming in at a quicker focal ratio, and we're able to, like I said, be a little more efficient on gathering that light coming through there. And so if we're looking at the channels on the image there, because it is basically, if you're shooting in a monochrome camera, I use a color camera, so you do lose a bit of detail overall. And a monochrome camera is going to kind of get you the most detail as possible, because every bit of light, every photon that comes through the camera and is collected on the sensor in a monochrome camera is registered. Whereas when you're using a color camera, you have a Bayer matrix, which is a red, a green, and a blue, and then that just repeats over the whole thing there. So when you are kind of capturing the red channel, you're only getting a quarter of the information. If you're in the green channel, you're picking up 50% of the information, and same with the blue, just another quarter there. So the camera has to do a little bit of interpolation to bring out as much of the image as possible there. But if you are shooting in monochrome, you do shoot with a red filter, a green filter, and a blue filter, and then you stack those ones up. It's a little more work. You do get an overall clearer image and more detail in there. But however, being in the UK, and even there's other areas of the world where clouds are terrible as well. But it can be notorious for the crummy weather, and I just want to be able to shoot a color image as quick as possible so we can do something like this and share it with you guys. So when we're looking at the filter that I'm using, I jump around a lot. The filter that we're using is a narrowband filter, so it is really capturing the emission lines of this nebula, and like I said, it captures the hydrogen alpha wavelength in the red end of the spectrum, and the oxygen 3 and hydrogen beta in the blue end of the spectrum. So there is also a way to synthesize the green channel on here, and I might try that out, but we'll see. Overall, I mean, the colors seem fairly balanced on here anyway, so I'm not going to muck around too much with that there. But if we look at the individual channels in black and white, you can kind of see in like the hydrogen beta end of things, there's not a lot to see in here. And even with some of the processing that we do early on, it does start to blend some of these channels together. So you are left with a little bit more information in some of the channels than you would right off the bat. However, I kind of get to that point with the image, and we'll start to build it up just a little bit more there, and kind of make what's a luminance layer, which adds a little bit more contrast, pops the reds a little more overall. I'm sure you can split the wavelength in APP. Probably. I mean, there is an option on here. What's the action? Where to go? I just saw it. Synthesize green channel from red and blue. Now, let's see. We're gonna save this. We're gonna save this right now as a Photoshop file, so just in case everything goes to pot. We will be able to come back to where we were. So this is the green channel that we're dealing with right now. So I'm going to run that script and see what happens. That's all saved up. So if anything goes wrong, then we can always come back to this point in time. We just can't step backwards. So let's see what happens there. If it okay. All right, let's run. That was a quick process. It wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. So it does look a little different. Let's jump back in. So we went from that to this, which kind of gets rid of that that green cast at least. What do the channels look like now? It does. So it has done a better job of combining things there. And then there is our red channel, which, you know, for the most part, it's just it's got the most information when you're shooting these emission nebulae. And you know, there are times I always wondered, like, oh, why do people just kind of shoot monochrome? And really, something like this, you know, I'm learning to love monochrome images as well, and it's you know, to look at them, it's fantastic. And I think for someone who's kind of quickly wanted to see these images from space, it may not have as much punch as a color image, but you know, being able to, there's quite a bit of detail that's kind of coming through there. I'm really impressed with the camera there. Me like space. Fulmine, me like space too. I mean, there's, you know, shooting the core of this nebula is one thing, but then also, you know, getting a scale, a grander scale of what this whole nebula complex is about there. You know, we've shot the Fishhead Nebula in you know, close up, and we have an image of Malot 15, but now, you know, you get the whole scope of this entire nebula, and it's just this structure that it just blows up so much more. Putsy, are you awake? Are you back from the market? Are you in the market? You're back on the phone. All right, man. Cool. Also, I do appreciate the host on your channel as well. Thank you very much. Just chilling. We're just chilling as well. You know, it's we're happy with the way things are going. Photoshop is holding up, and as I say that, it's probably going to crash. And as I say, the internet is holding up. It's probably going to back up for a second there. So, you know, we just have to go roll with the punches. And yeah, I mean, I would jump back to the other image of the heart of the Heart Nebula right now. All right, gotta go. Cloudy skies can't hold me inside. All right, Astro Addict, thank you very much for popping in. Appreciate the appreciate you joining us for tonight. And those of you who are in the chat as well, who are watching, Astro Addict has some phenomenal images, like amazing stuff. You check him out on YouTube, check him out on Twitter, and every other social media channel that he's got some stuff on. And yeah, give him a follow as well. And he's got some great tutorials, so always giving a great shout out to actually, hey, does this work? Oh no, he does not have a, you don't do any streaming yet, do you? But yeah, I don't know if he has his streaming set up, but just for the sake of using the bot. Does that work? It works. Now, I don't know. That's it works. Hey, there we go. Have you started streaming yet, Fulmine? Because I will. Saying if we're. Because I'm always happy to help out anybody who is streaming. Other people have helped me out in the past, and just being able to pay that forward is what I wanted to do. No, it's cool. You don't have to. If you're happy, you know, I'm happy that you're in the chat with us. I'm happy, you know, you guys are joining the chats. Yeah, it's just like the community that's kind of building up here. So let's jump back over to Photoshop and let's get a new window up there, because I'm going to create what is called a luminance layer, and that's going to just kind of pop out some of these colors. And really, usually with a luminous layer, you want to combine some of the layers here, but this red channel is so well done, and there is very little noise overall. I might do a little bit of noise reduction on there. But overall, it doesn't need to, actually let's see, make sure that doesn't crash. Just run a little bit of noise reduction in the camera raw. It just cleans things up a bit, and unfortunately it doesn't pop up on the screen there, but we'll see a slight change in the details there. So I mean, it's a very minor change because I don't want to really ruin a lot of the detail that's kind of come out there. So stars can be already dead, but light is still traveling to Earth. Yes, we are big. Those are a lot of these stars we could be looking at their ghosts essentially, because it could be traveling hundreds of light years, thousands of light years, millions of light years to get for us to see it. And sometimes those stars have already died, and much like the Crab Nebula, it's one of those objects in the sky that we saw it explode in 1054 AD, but it's also 6,400 light years away. So that event happened 6,400 years ago, and only just under 1,000 years ago, we saw that event happen. So that area, that section of the night sky it's already done its thing. The star is long dead. It is a pulsar that's now in the middle of that nebula, and kind of doing its thing out there. But yeah, unfortunately, as fast as the speed of light is, it's also incredibly slow on an astronomical scale, because unless something is fairly close, even you look at the moon and it is about 1 light second away. So everything you're seeing at the moon happened a second ago. Same with sunlight. That takes 8 minutes to reach Earth, 93 million miles away. When a star dies, it creates a supernova. It depends on the mass of the star. Sometimes it can create a supernova. Other times it could create a black hole. It could slowly die out and kind of become a red giant, and eventually just kind of shed its outer layers away. And then you're kind of left with a white dwarf, a much smaller, cooler star that just keeps burning on for billions of years at a steady pace after that. So yeah, there is a scale. If we remember a little bit after the image is complete, they're called the Hertzsprung-Russell scale, and it's kind of a scale of the temperature of the sun, the star, the size of the star depends on how it ages. You get the hotter stars are going to burn through their fuel much quicker, and those are the ones that if they are large, they have a potential to turn into a black hole. Whereas you have like a main sequence star, which is what our sun is. It burns through its fuel nice and steady at a nice leisurely pace, which has allowed us to kind of evolve as well. It maintains a steady size as well, whereas other stars can quickly bloat to many times its original size and just kind of eventually fizzle out. But thankfully with our star, it is nice and calm and consistent. And we're like, what would happen if the sun dies? I would rephrase that question in a way, what will happen when the sun dies? It's billions of years from now, the sun will slowly stop producing its fuel and eventually start to expand into a red giant. And getting into some grim stuff at the moment here. And there are some images of planetary nebula that we've shot in the past, and kind of we'll try to keep a pin on that, and I can show you kind of what the essentially the future of our sun is going to be. And it's more of one of those soft, pretty looking planetary nebulae in the sky, as opposed to some areas that are like the Crab Nebula, which is a very violent supernova explosion. Baba Zelnik, oh no! I said that's billions and billions of years from now. Starting off on a bit of a low note. Now let's quickly turn around. Let's go back to the amazing look of the Heart Nebula, which is a stellar nursery. These are where stars are being born. This is the future of our galaxy, and much like the Orion Nebula, which is closer to home at just under it's about 1,300 light years away, that is birthing new stars as well. And so this whole central section of the Heart Nebula is what is fueling this entire area of the night sky. So all the pressure, the stellar, the radiation coming from these young stars being born is forming this entire region of the night sky. And I'm very happy that this whole thing has turned out well so far. And I'm still rambling on, and Photoshop can crash at any moment. So, yes, we will. Let's see, let's get this over into our color version there. All right, we are back on our color image. And saved. Right, we have a, let's see, I'm going to, before I actually add this other layer, let me do a bit of, so I'm going to pick a neutral area of the night sky. Let's go backwards here and see if that kind of, no, that's not good. That's better. All right, cool. Right. So yeah, we have, like I said before, we have shot pieces of this nebula before, and that we've seen live. However, now we have the entire complex in one shot. This was taken earlier in September with the smaller refractor telescope, and basically all those little bits of information that has just popped up in the chat, thanks to the Astrobot, and I might rename it to Astrobot. We'll see. Aside from the Altair Astro Ritchie Chrétien 8-inch telescope, this was shot with a 72mm refractor telescope, and everything else of the equipment is the same camera, same mount, same filter as well. And it just, the whole idea of this filter was to capture these reds within the nebula. And what we'll do to bring out the there we go, bring out the details, is we're going to paste that black and white version, which is just the red channel. So it's going to, now sometimes I also like to check out what the different layers are going to, what the blending layers are going to reveal there. Sometimes it works out better than using the luminosity layer, and sometimes it doesn't. So, all right, let's stick with luminosity, because I can see that the screen is going crazy and you can't see exactly what's going on there. So when you do the luminosity there, because it does wash it out, luminosity, it does wash it out a bit there. So I drop it down to about, even just starting at 50%, and seeing how that looks. And I mean, you can just see it starts to increase the contrast overall in the image. You can just get a better sense of the shape of what we're seeing there. And overall, it does kind of wash out the color a little bit. However, what I usually will do is, let's see, maybe even drop that down to 40% opacity. And we're getting some of the star color kind of coming back there. And that also, the stars can be revealed a little more through doing some star masks. But again, it's not a lengthy process, but at the same time, we're just bringing out a lot more detail. So there is without the luminosity layer. And it's a really subtle change, but overall it can start to make a big difference. So I don't want to copy that. I want to merge that layer down. So that is its own layer at the moment. And want to bring up those star colors once more. And I'm happy with the overall the size of the stars, because they're not really intruding on the image too much there. But what I'm just going to do is run that star color one more time, so you can kind of see what's quickly kind of going on in the background there. It is kind of making its own star mask. And we will run that one more time. Kind of boost up the colors of the stars there. And I'm really happy with how this image is already turning out. And it's one of those things where, again, I will work on it some more throughout the week. And yeah, because you can see I boosted the star color, but I think that's almost getting out of a little too much, a little out of control there. So there was, from the first layer, and some of those reds are just a little too red. So actually I might just go down to the first version that we had, the first run of the star color increase there. And I will say those ones are preserved. And other things you can kind of do to boost up the colors is to kind of pick what areas we don't want to boost up, and other ones that we do, and we can start to increase the contrast in those areas. Like the the reds are really getting that, what we kind of had, what we started with a little bit there, to where we're at now. Actually, there's a good example of where we started from to where we're at now. And I think it's it looks so much nicer, won't lie. I'm happy with how this one has turned out already. And it is a wider shot. The telescope also collects light that much faster, and it's a smaller scope, and we're able to get some really bright nebulae captured in these images. Whereas when we're using the larger scope, we're really zooming in. We're getting the gritty details of the nebula, which is fantastic in itself. However, there is the beauty in capturing the entire area of whatever nebula that we're shooting. And most of the time, specific nebulae like this is not going to fit into the larger scope. But the larger scope is great for looking at the moon, looking at specific areas of the night sky in great detail. And it really, like, each scope is going to have its own save that, is going to have its own purpose. And I think for once Orion kind of starts being a little more readily available, I probably will switch up scopes every few nights if the weather's going to permit, because there are some areas in the night sky that are in that constellation that are great to zoom in on, but it's also really beautiful to look at them in a wider field of view, because there are emission nebulae, there are reflection nebulae in that area, and it's just every little bit is best suited for a different focal length. So while I would ideally like to have 2 rigs, that's kind of right out of the question at the moment. I would not be able to fit 2 rigs in the back garden. I mean, we only have just barely enough room for the one rig there, and yeah, I think overall I'm happy with how this is already turning out. There is a little bit more work that needs to go into the deeper field images, and you know, I mean, we like I said before, we've shot the Heart Nebula, and you know, at this kind of zoomed in level, we're at 407% of the view here, and it's not as clear and detailed as it is when we shot it with the other telescope. It's there, you can see the structure, but it's just not quite the level of detail that we'd be getting with the other scope. And I mean, if I might actually I will spend a few more hours with this image there, because I know there's a lot more detail to kind of pull out there, and you know, there's still some other processes that we can run to really get some details coming out. But I mean, the Heart Nebula itself, it is, to kind of give you guys a little more detail, this nebula is about 7,500 light years away in the Perseus arm of the galaxy. We're in the Orion spur of the galaxy, so this is in a totally different area. And the loose open cluster in the middle is Melotte 15, lying at the center of the Heart Nebula. The nebula's gorgeous red color is driven by the radiation emanating from Melotte 15. Only 1.5 million years old, this cluster contains a few bright stars nearly 50 times the sun's mass, and many more containing only a fraction of a solar mass. And this is part of the Heart and Soul Nebula complex, where it does have its wider partner as well. That's just a few degrees, I guess, to the west, if you're looking at it in the night sky there. But it's again one of those other areas of nebulosity that's better picked up with either a very large telescope to start to get some of the it'll look almost like when you're looking at these nebulae, it'll be more of a gray smudge if you're looking at it with your own eyes, because we can only process light at a certain level. It's not as good as a camera. I think our eyes refresh at 60 frames per second if you're kind of measuring it in that way. So you're not collecting that much light within your own iris, whereas you'll have to have a lens of a camera opened up a lot more. And F. Here, I'll do it too. There we go. That probably dropped a few people off there, unfortunately. But yeah, we're back. We're up and running again. It almost seems to run like clockwork, so which is a real pain in the behind. But yeah, we're back up and running there. So I was somewhere. Well, I will just run a couple other processes on here to bring out some more details. Let's run the local contrast enhancement a little bit there. Because there are some other processes that you can that are available with these tools. However, they can take a few minutes to render there. And I think at this point it's a little different than when we're waiting for an image to come through than it is when we're waiting for an image to process, and we're like pretty much right there with a usable image. So we'll see how much did that it's a little bit. So it goes from kind of a little softer image to almost a little more crunchy, but it is bringing up those details a little more, adding some contrast to the image. And actually, what sometimes I'll do is double up on the luminosity layer, and so you got the kind of the overall crunchiness of things, and a little more softer image that's been added with that previous layer. And really, let's just kind of all bump up the saturation overall a little bit there. And let's see, update the levels a bit. Just kind of, because I don't want everything I don't like the sky being pure black, because really overall, an image from space isn't going to be truly a truly black sky. I like that little bit of almost that kind of navy color that kind of comes from there. And I will save that down, and I'm going to say that is going to be, like I said, it was going to be what, 10-minute process. How long has that been? Can I see timestamps on any images there or messages? Because that's going to really change things up there, or not change things up. That's going to give me a good indication of when we started this image versus when it's kind of overall finished. I mean, I'll save this up. We'll pop that onto Instagram, and we can run a comparison versus what was my 5-minute process last Valentine's Day versus this 3.5-hour image. And I'm actually, never satisfied with the images. Always want to think about doing a little more. So while I am running that one there, I do thank you guys who have tuned into the stream. We're not running down anytime soon. We're just kind of having some fun, and just thanking some of our latest followers. And I do thank Putsy again for the raid earlier on. Alpha Unity joining the observatory. DJ Billy Deadpool, thank you very much for joining. I do appreciate the gifted sub from Paul Rowe and his sub as well. Appreciate that so much. It's been a weird journey right now. I didn't know exactly how things were going to be going. There's some big plans I still have in store for the channel there. The overall look is going to change up a little bit, because I'm designing more of the new emotes, and I don't know if everything is still working there. We have 3 different emotes available. I don't know if it doesn't look like it's showing up in some of the chats. It looks like it shows up in the chat bar. No, it doesn't. Weird. Anyway, hopefully that kind of sorts itself out. But once we kind of reach that next level of subscriptions, and I think we are just 3 away from that point, we'll be able to release some new emotes, to add another emote to the tier 1 subscribers. Anything optional for the tier 2, which I will also add to be there as channel points soon, just so that you can use those ones as well for 24 hours. And there will be a little change to the logo. I haven't, for those who may have tuned in last night, I haven't done any extra work on that one there. And as soon as I kind of am happy with the what's going on in Photoshop, we'll save that down, and I'll give you guys a look for those of you who may not have been on the chat last night to see what the new logo is roughly going to be. Is roughly going to look like there. So I'm just going to run one more process of the. Oop, that may not work. That might. No. Cancel that. New. Right. I need to have my layer selected. And we'll make the star smaller. Yes. So just a look at what the new logo is going to look like. Like I said before, it was the original logo that's kind of up here right now. That was a quick little thing I did just to brand the channel there. But I've done a little more purposed work on things. There we go. I think that's pretty good with the stars. I don't think they're good. They've retained their. Sometimes I get black halos around the stars, and it just doesn't look good at all. At least these ones you have you have the nice bright core, a little fade around the edges there, and it also kind of comes in part to some of the tools that I've been using that I've just recently added to it that are kind of keeping that star bloat down while we're processing the images there. And because sometimes it can get out of control, much like how the cameras can absorb too much information essentially, and you're oversaturating the area, the well depth of the camera, and those pixels are kind of bleeding out into other areas and making stars appear bloated. So just new little tips and tools that I've kind of picked up along the way that are better suited for viewing, for processing these images and keeping things in check, essentially. So yeah, I think we're going to. I've reduced the stars just a tiny bit there, and I think overall I'm happy with that image. I think that's from what we started with, it's a good idea of what we can expect from just how much work can need to go into an astrophotograph or an image from space there. And it is an image. It probably, if I wasn't talking to anybody or kind of narrating what I've done, this would either have been a really quick process, or it could have just kept restarting and adding more and doing other things and trying this out and restarting again. But like I said, what was going to be a 10-minute process has kind of left us with this image in the end there, and I'm really happy with how that's turned out. And again, I can't wait until Orion comes around and it's visible above my roof line, and we're able to get some interesting shots of one of my favorite areas of the night sky, and hopefully the weather will cooperate throughout the colder months, because colder skies will also mean that the atmosphere won't be as turbulent. There's a better chance of having clearer skies, and as long as the atmosphere is calmer, then there's less disturbance overall. So those times when we've kind of looked at the moon, you've seen how it can be like wobbling almost, and that is just from the atmospheric disturbance. But yeah, we will say that one is good to go. And like you can see, you know, there is some what looks like movement in the corners there. That is in part to the camera being a little too close to the field flattener along the image train. So if you you get the spacing correct, then you're left with stars that are completely round corner to corner. And that's a bit of an easy fix, but it does take a little bit of time to be taking the whole image train apart and putting the camera in and out and making sure that everything looks good. And I kind of got it roughly set up, and I was happy with how that was. And like I said before, it does the job. And a lot of the things that we're looking at are going to be dead center in the scope anyway. So, you know, we're not too fussed about how things look there. So that is our comparison shot. And I think, where can I save that quickly? Let's save a JPEG. And that is from Twitch. And today is the 14th of November, 2020. We'll save that down. And I'll also move that. No, don't need that file. We will pop that image in to Google Drive. Oop, that moved it right in there. I don't want to. Let's copy that. There we go. That is, it's in the drive there. So we got that saved online now. Pardon me. I will. I'll post that up on Instagram a little later, and we can also we'll have a comparison of the Heart Nebula. So let me just for those. Let me rotate this. About that direction there. Okay, so we have our Heart Nebula at this resolution, at this level of processing. This is 3.5 hours worth of images that we've taken, and comparing that against what we have on Instagram. Actually, let me. Now we'll leave it like that at that rotation there. It's about where we have. So. This level, 3.5 hours. We've taken about, I guess, about maybe 45 minutes or so to process this image to a point that we are happy with it. And like I said, once I'll kind of get in there and maybe do a few hours editing on this and really pull out some of the finer details. However, totally happy with this. But you know, this version versus what we have from a 5-minute processed image, which isn't, you know, it's nice and red. You can see the shape overall of that, but you know, it's not quite there. It's a very rough process that was done. That was back in February, and it was one of those images where I really had it just as a test. It was kind of like the end of the night. I was just kind of shutting things down. Noticed that the Heart Nebula was just available above the roof line, and I shot it with the DSLR camera. Incredibly noisy, just a 5-minute shot, and just processed as much of it as possible to kind of bring out any bit of detail. So we do have the form of that there, but you know, to have it as the you know, there's the comparison of a more of putting in more time into the image there. And it's just one of those things with astrophotography is you try to put in as much time on a target as possible to get out the most details. And, you know, while you can have some kind of image that resembles the Heart Nebula, it's one of those things that's you need to have the clear skies available so you can get those images together there. And yeah, like I said, I'm very happy with how that has all turned out. And you know, there's a nice overall kind of softness to this image with the with some high contrast, and I'm really liking how this looks. And there's still more detail in there that I think that I'm definitely sure I can still pull out of that. And this is also shot with without any subframes, because usually when you're taking these images, you want to have more images that you take that are either with the lens cap on and you're just kind of picking out the dark current from the sensor, or you shoot it with a like a flat white source over top of the end of the scope, so you're kind of being able to pick out any of the little motes of dust that might be on the telescope, or any little bits of kind of condensation that's formed, and that kind of gets rid of any of the little darker little donuts almost that kind of appear in the images there. But overall, with this camera, it's I mean, I'm really impressed with these images that are coming out of there, and not just because it looks really beautiful, but it's because the amount of processing I'm able to do before really tearing this image apart and really amplifying any problems that are in these images is almost a little difficult, because that camera is cooled to 10 degrees below zero Celsius, and we're just able to eliminate as much of that noise as possible. You know, you can really zoom in on this, and there isn't a whole lot of that, you know, that the kind of red, I clicked on something I shouldn't have. That red, green, and blue kind of noise that's in there. There's a little bit of noise that we can kind of see as we're at 450%, so we're really amplifying any of the problems that might be in this image there. But at the same time, I think there's more. We're getting more signal. We're seeing more of the nebula, and some of those even finer details. You know, in these sections there. And I couldn't be happier with this camera. And I think it's like the perfect camera for what I want to do. It is perfect for the scope the two different scopes I'm using. It doesn't seem to be oversampling the stars or undersampling the stars, so we're not getting kind of elongated or blocky looking stars there. So I am just really impressed overall with the performance of this. And I think there's going to be more areas of Orion that are almost going to be better suited for the smaller wide field scope, and that we'll see that kind of come through in the really probably in the next couple weeks, really, once this this kind of next season of astrophotography rolls around. And I think it really is marked by Orion being in the sky, and it's going to be usually, depending if it is already, Orion is getting higher in the sky right now. Unfortunately for me, I do really require it to be a little later in the season before it's kind of in that right position and above the roof line just enough. So we'll have a few hours each night with Orion coming up, and yeah, get some spectacular images from there, and I'm really looking forward to it. So let's go back to our original orientation of this. Because there are different ways you can kind of look at this nebula, and I do like to, there are some popular versions, some orientations that we see out there. However, I do like to keep them oriented really at the same way that I've shot them. And that's kind of, it's just one of those things that where I associate it better with the way how I have things set up there. So I kind of familiarize myself with just the way how things look from my end of things, and it's just that other little bit of connection that I form with these images, and not kind of being a little bit of a disassociated with it from from looking at it in a magazine. Like, I mean, it's cool, it's great to compare these images, and definitely this is not a image that's going to appear in a in a high profile magazine or anything like that, but I mean, I can give it a fair shake and see how those processes in PixInsight will clean up those rounded stars in the corners, and I think it's going to take a lot of it's going to be a little bit of work. I mean, I've seen a lot of some of the tutorial videos that people have put out there, and they're about an hour almost in length there, so it does seem it's not a quick fix to get these these imperfections sorted out there, but I'm definitely willing to put in the time for that there. But so it's even just to kind of look at the still that black and white version of just the hydrogen alpha kind of channel there is, I really like how that looks, and they could probably even something like this one, I would even process this area a little bit more as well to really get those red parts, to increase that contrast overall. And it's one of those things that I would spend a few hours working on off stream, just because there's a lot of let's try this, that, and the other, and it's not as entertaining to watch to kind of just watch me scratch my head for a few hours sometimes. So we will usually I don't save these channels, because essentially it exists in a new form here. Like, as we've processed this out, here's our blue channel, which is really starting to get more detailed with structure, because you're kind of blending the channels all together, and usually you almost want to do per channel processing, and that's when you really start to get some of the good details to pop out there. And even this green channel, which has essentially been synthesized from the red and the blue to kind of smooth out the image a little bit more, and it kind of gets rid of that green cast. And then versus when we get into this entire hydrogen alpha channel, essentially with the image, which really pops. So compared to, here's the red channel from our processed image, and and here it was when we first started with it. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll even I'll grab this channel as well and add that as a new luminance layer, but you really start to amplify a lot of the imperfections in the image there. And it's a chance of really, like I said, amplifying the those areas, imperfections. However, now that I've said that, I am going to see, this is what happens when I am just working on the image there. I will kind of create this new luminance layer with that channel, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if the stars are going to Yeah, see, here's the problem. You start to get those black halos around the stars. You start doubling and tripling up the information there. You're just, like I said, amplifying the any of the issues that come up. You know, while we're able to increase the contrast in here. I think we you start to lose a bit of the plot. However, like far away, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, we're getting some decent contrast. The star colors are all right. I think if you start to zoom in, however, we're really going to be able to pick out the issues that kind of come up with this, and you know, we're okay. You know what? I'm not. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. All right, James Vade, it's a great stream today. Nice to see some good Photoshop tricks off to work. All right, thank you very much for coming in there. Have a good shift at work. Have a safe day, and we will look forward to seeing you on the next stream. Appreciate you coming in tonight. Right, so just a few more tweaks, and this is like, you know, here is a bit of a trip into my brain, into my process there, and you know, I guess we've essentially gone from, it's a small step from from this to that, and like I said, it's a small bit of change, but at the same time, we're kind of bringing out a little more of the nebulosity, a little more of the structure there. We've increased the contrast, and yeah, I'll save that one down because I can always turn those layers off and kind of go back a step there, and that's why sometimes these images can start to get really large in the hard, taking up the hard drive space, and it's going to be cumbersome in a way. And yeah, that's where you start to have to get another storage device. But let's see, it doesn't seem to be coming through there. It's still a black and white image on screen. Why is that? All right. Here I'm going on about how much the color is, and we're stuck on this this black and white version. There we go. That should be right. Arish, looking great. Thank you very much. I'm happy. I'm really happy with how this image has turned out. So while we've been, for some reason, sitting on this black and white image, it didn't go over back to the color there. We, you know, this was where we were at just before I said we were finished, and then change the luminosity channel and added a little more detail, boosted up the saturation a little bit, changed the levels, and we're at this point now. So while I was banging on about that, I noticed that it actually wasn't changing on the screen there. Any chance of you uploading this segment of processing in the stream for future reference? I will be. I'm a little behind on the moving the VODs over to YouTube, but I will do that during the week, and I will. I think there's probably about 3 streams that I have to that I'll be uploading. But yeah, definitely this will be on there for future reference. And I do think I will probably try to do, maybe I'll do this one again, but as a standalone YouTube video, so we can actually see the tools that I'm clicking on, because for some reason with OBS it doesn't show all the windows. It's like they are listed as totally separate sources for everything. So if I'm working on the layers window, it creates a new source essentially that I would have to pop in the window there. And I think if I just do a recording of the video, it'll have the whole screen there. But I'm still going to look into how I can get everything in Photoshop to show up there. And that way you can get a better idea, because I can say what I'm doing, but visually being able to see where these tools are moving to and what I'm using is just gonna be a little more beneficial to anybody who is going to be processing these images. All right, thank you, appreciate that a lot. I've learned so much so far. Well, I'm happy to thank you. I appreciate that so much. I mean, I've been like I said before, I'm running a clinic is not exactly what I think I'm doing, but I am happy to kind of pass along any tool tips, like any ideas that I've kind of gained along the way, and just some, I guess some little processes that I've tweaked myself. And while some of these might be a little bit of a cheat, a little workaround for if you have limited data that you're shooting with, I still think there's, as long, the images that we're kind of ending up with, they are, I'm happy with how this one has turned out. There have been some that have been okay, and that is also kind of maybe a lack of integration time, and some areas of the night sky need a lot more time because they are so faint, and you're really just going to be amplifying any of the kind of the noise that comes out in the camera there, rather than getting the signal, because the Heart Nebula can be such a bright area of the night sky, such a a vibrant emission nebula, which this filter is designed to capture. We're able to get a nicer looking image at the end of the night here. Whereas, pardon me, I know with the Cave Nebula, that one didn't turn out very well. I was pleased with how it kind of turned out, but I wasn't happy overall with how that image turned out. But this one, I'm glad the way how it's turned. The star colors have been largely preserved. The color, the hydrogen alpha emission of the nebula has kind of come out there. And when you're using different filters, using more of a monochrome camera, you can really start to tease out those specific areas of wavelengths and kind of amplify, some of the softer colors that can be found within that there. But for now, like I said, with these images, we're happy. I'm happy to get a workable image out as quickly as possible there. Although it has taken like an hour for what I was going to say was going to be a quick 10-minute process. What focal length was it shot at? This was with the, hang on. I believe the focal length is 420 millimeters native with the 72 ED, but I am using a 0.6 reducer, a 0.6 reducer. So it would be about 252 millimeters is the focal length for this image. And really that, with that focal length and the square sensor on the camera, it pretty much fits in almost perfect. Even just the alignment might have been a little off, or the framing of the object. You just lose that little bit of the right side there, but it is largely this is like the entire main complex of the nebula. There are some little wispy areas that we've seen. That still could, even if you're shooting at a wider focal length. But I think at that point you're sacrificing details, and I think this is just at that point where we're seeing enough of the structure within there. The quite wide field has paid off well. Congrats, thank you. Yeah, totally happy. Alpha, I have done it. What have you done, sir? I'm excited to hear this. What's up? What has got you so excited? I have made something. You have made something special for me. You didn't have to. So I think if we did shoot this this nebula any wider, we'd really start to lose the detail, and things wouldn't, those details wouldn't be as prominent. And like I said, we're able to pick up that central area. What we've what we shot with the larger scope. And while we can see the overall structure, it's not as detailed as the other one there. I'm not that good, but I hope you like it. You're really building up the excitement here, Alpha. So here's the let me go back to let me rotate this whole canvas here. The link is literally 501 letters. Can you send it in a whisper? And then maybe I can post that up there. Add a G. Where is this going to take me? It doesn't seem to be a beginning of this link. It seems to be just a string. All right, I'll wait. All right, while you're getting that one sorted out there. So here is the that area, that Malot 15. No worries. I'm in no rush, man. Take your time. We are good. So, like I said, this is the area of Malot 15 at a 250 millimeters versus this image that is at 979 millimeters. So you can see there's a, even this image, I still want to go back and reprocess it. And I tried before, and that was when Photoshop kept crashing. So I will almost kind of process these in tandem. I say, this week, but we'll see how that goes. But it is, that stark contrast in detail there. So I can even make this a little larger. So even there, I can definitely pull out a lot more detail in this image right now. But I mean, you can just see, it's just a black. So yeah, the difference between a larger scope and a smaller scope, it's just a little sharper, a little more detail overall there. Add an O. Is that a O or a 0? I'm just going to copy that. Oop. Don't hear anything. Is this where I should be? Oh, add a C. No, sorry, I'm still not hearing anything. If you whisper the message over there, will the link kind of come through in its entirety? Yeah, no worries. Have that sorted out. That's cool. We'll come back to that in a moment there. So yes, it's the previous image that we had of the Heart Nebula versus what we have imaged tonight has been quite the contrast as well. Do you have another way I can send it? Yeah, I mean, send it through in a whisper on Twitch. I can pick it up there. Hang on, I will Alpha Unity 2. Right, that should pop up on your browser there at some point. Okay, this looks a little more detailed. All right. So this is a sound file, I'm assuming, yes? I've never used Beepbox before. No, it's still not working, eh? There's no rush, no worries on that. We'll, you can get that sorted out. I do appreciate the effort that you've put into this there, so we'll make sure that gets sorted out there for you. Are you following me on Instagram? Because maybe you can send a message that way. I can collect it through there. There's the link. If you aren't already following on Instagram, you can find it there. And I wonder if actually what is does this work? No, it doesn't. I don't know what the thing is to kind of show all the options of what we can exclamation point and tell the bot to show us. Hey, Putsy. Finally home. Man. You say you go to the market, you're in and out very quick. You know exactly what you're getting, eh? We are we've basically finished the image of the Heart Nebula. We're just kind of do a little comparison on here is our image from tonight, and then there is the same area of the night sky, but with the larger telescope. So, you know, just looking at a more focused areas there, and just seeing what kind of other details pop out there. Yeah, pretty much the same thing every week. So yeah, in and out. It's cool. As long as you you know what you're doing there. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with how this has turned out, because there have been a couple of nights that we've done this, and the image just hasn't been as well. So yeah, same area of the night sky, but just at different focal lengths. So you're able to, you know, we're seeing these different areas of the night sky in other details there. So yeah, that is basically our finished image of the Heart Nebula for tonight there. And we'll put it in the orientation of the heart. And you know, some people see the Heart Nebula, and along with the you know, that fish head area of the night sky. You're sad, Alpha. I'm sorry the link isn't working there. You don't have Insta. Okay. I haven't set up a Discord yet. Let's use. Can we use Putsy's Discord as a go-between? Because I have not set up my own Discord. And for two reasons. I don't know how much work goes into a Discord, and it's just one more step that I need to add to the list of things to do. So, right, we'll check out just pop it in, I guess, in the chatting section. Does that work? Or promote? I don't know which one is going to be. You let me know where that one goes in there, and we'll get that sorted out there. But there's many kind of orientations of the Heart Nebula that depending on just where just how people are shooting the target there, and I mean, this kind of shows the overall image of the shape of the Heart Nebula, and there are other times when it has also been compared to maybe a distended version of male genitalia. And there are sometimes I can't not see that with this nebula. And there are a few different orientations that almost accentuate that. So, yes, and also when we were talking about Uranus and Uranus, it can be 12 years old about these things sometimes. But again, at the heart of all this, we're trying to be mildly serious, but also have a good time as well. So the orientation of the Hawking-Balls Nebula, Heart Nebula, is largely dependent on kind of your area of the night sky and where we're imaging from. But I do like to leave the images at the orientation of where I've shot them. It worked, right? Okay. Where in the Discord did you put that? You sent it as a DM on Discord? I've never gotten a DM on Discord. That just copies my name. Oh, there we go. Found it. Hold up. This link will take you to... I'm not going to read that out. Are you sure you want to go there? Yep. All right. Let's switch the... Actually, I haven't had any other music on at the moment. Here we are. This is from Alpha Unity. And does it work? Let's hope it works for you. Hang on, let me go back. You need to turn up the volume there. It half works. Well, I am... So what is this, Alpha? Tell me, man. I'm intrigued. Okay, yes, I know it's music. So did you compose this? Like, tell me more about this, man, because I'm really interested in this. This sounds really good. I like it. I'm digging this, man. That's really cool, dude. I appreciate that. Well, I mean, you say you're trying to get it working. This sounds phenomenal. I love it. And then it loops there. Well, Alpha, thank you very much. Really don't know what else to say. It's wonderful. All right, now is this able? Am I able to kind of have this saved as a like an MP3 or something like that eventually? I think I will pause that for a second because it does seem to be moving on the bandwidth there. Right. So that latest link that you've sent now, that's that one works. All right, that's the one we're playing on there. I mean it's tremendous, man. Seriously, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you so much, man. I will. Am I able to save this? All right, I'm going to pause. Excellent. All right, I'm saving that link. I'm going to save this. Oh, that sounds cool. I love it. That percussion. That's cool. I love it, dude. Thank you, Alpha. Thank you so much. Oh, dude, that's great. I'm getting chills, man. I'm actually getting chills down my back. On my got some goosebumps. That sounds tremendous. That's amazing, man. Yeah, man, share this around. This is some fantastic work, Alpha. And like, also send along any other details you want, because I will credit the hell out of you for this. Yeah, I thank you so much, man. I appreciate that immensely. Ah, shit, that's tremendous. All right, so it's an export song. Export to wave. That is fine. Loop count. I guess I can. The song can do 2 loops, and then it will loop through the rest there. The web page is slowing down your browser. Well. All right. I'll save that link. I'll save that down. I decided to call it Heart Nebula. Dude, come on, man. You're... All right, I will rename that. I'll rename that as the... as Heart Nebula. That is tremendous. Thank you so much, man. I'm going to go back to the previous stuff for at the moment, because that was somehow eating up my bandwidth there. But I will use that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that immensely, and that's, that means more than kind of any monetary donation at all, man. I love that so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very, very much. As soon as the percussion hit, that was like chills. It was like chills, man. Oh, that's so cool. And wow. Love it. Yes, I am. It's my stream that gave you the inspiration, dude. I'm happy to have inspired you in that way. Musically, I never really thought that kind of something like that would kind of come from what we're doing here, man. I appreciate that so much. As soon as I get that sorted out, I'll throw that in there with everything. You get all the credit in the world. I mean, it actually doesn't look like the emotes. Are the emotes working yet? Are they back online? Maybe I gotta get like a... Those are showing up there. Still glitch from GlitchCon. Well, I can see it up there, and I will. I will get that sorted up. I appreciate that. It's incredible. I can, dude. Thank you. I will put it in my SoundCloud. Wicked. I will get that sorted out and have that in the sound bank. And like I said, can I get send over any other information to me that you want me to credit you for, because that's going to go in the credits on the page. Anywhere else, I'm going to just share the heck out of this. I appreciate it so much. It's incredibly kind to put your time for me like that, and I'm just happy that this has inspired you in that way. The old balls. How you doing, Pops? How you guys living back in Canada right now? So we have processed the Heart Nebula, and Photoshop has has done its job and it's held up, and we were able to get a decent image, which has also inspired some music from Alpha Unity, and I am incredibly grateful for the effort that he's put in, and how much the inspiration has how this has inspired him to compose a wonderful piece of music. And I'll be getting that integrated into the stream as soon as possible. And yeah, I'm floored. I'm blown away by that gesture, Alpha. Yeah, love that very much. 9 more today. 9 more trucks. Yes? So yeah, this stream has taken a wonderful turn. So it's excellent, good to hear. So those of you who may be in the trucking industry and need a new Peterbilt, check my dad out. He'll hook you up with a truck. It's your, dude, I can't thank you enough. I know, I'll say for myself, I've been inspired by other people as well. And it's, I feel that emotion that kind of comes from something that's really inspired you. And, I can get where you're coming from, and I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I can't say thanks enough, and really that'll be, like I said, that'll be incorporated into the stream, and we will we'll make that a new feature on things there. I'm very happy to add that as soon as possible, and once we're the next stream, that'll be. That music will be definitely incorporated into everything there. It's the first. Well, dude, I feel absolutely honored that you've shared it with me, and that and that we've heard it, and that's just some incredible work, dude. And you should be very, very proud of yourself, man. Do you have a link to your SoundCloud as well? Because I think more people, if you are cool with that, if more people want to hear your work, because that's it's just some incredible stuff, man. No worries, no rush, man. We know we are here as many nights as possible, especially when it's clear. We'll be doing live images from outer space. However, tonight has been a process of the Heart Nebula, which I said was going to be about a 10-minute image that has turned into about 3 hours worth of yammering on and listening to some fantastic music as well. I mean, what is outside doing at the moment there? It's probably, well, it's definitely not going to be cleared up. I think we still have some high winds, and it would be fantastic if the clouds suddenly decided to bugger off and leave us with some clear skies. However, it doesn't look to be that promising. Now, what I am hoping to forecast is that on Tuesday night, actually it would be technically Wednesday morning at midnight, Greenwich Mean Time, is I might look to check out doing a later starting stream, essentially starting at midnight or 12 in the morning on Wednesday, because it looks like we're gonna have clear skies throughout the entire night with moderate wind and a very very low dew point. So possibly Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, there will be a live astrophotography stream, and if the forecast holds up, maybe Thursday, which could be Friday. But then also Friday night itself is looking clear. This is like a week in advance for the forecast, so that can change dramatically over the coming days. But I will definitely keep my eye on the weather, and like I said, those of you who are following on Twitter, that Twitter is kind of going to be the outlet where I will announce when I'm kind of going live almost at a moment's notice. I can have like the regular schedule ish up on the Twitch channel there, but for the most part it will, if you're following the channel, you'll get the notification when I go live, and whether or not it's going to be live astrophotography or rainy day astronomy, I'll be sure to emphasize that in the notification there, so you definitely know whether it's getting excited or we're just having a chilled night. But it has been an interesting evening, and like I said, with how we can make plans for what the stream is going to be about, and maybe it goes off the rails in a good way, in a spectacular way tonight, and it's just one of those things that I'm happy to have shared this image of the night sky. This is the first time I've processed the Heart Nebula as well. Like I said, the previous version I did was just a 5-minute exposure with some real quick and dirty processing, and it didn't turn out exactly how you'd want it to. So being able to get these images together in a detailed fashion, is something that I'm happy to do. Like there's sometimes that I'm sitting on this on some data for quite a while, and it's not sometimes it'll sit there. Crazy Bro Athene, hi, hope you all doing fine. We are doing very fine. We have been doing some images processing some images of the night sky. Thank you very much for popping in there. We have worked on this image of the Heart Nebula, which has come a long way since this point, which was a single 5-minute shot that I processed to within an inch of its life, to a 3.5-hour image that has come out to be a rather wonderful looking image that, to be mildly modest about things, but I'm very happy with how this has turned out. And, just being able to take this processed image from, this earlier level to something of more detail and more contrast, and being able to pick out these areas of the night sky have been, it's been a fulfilling process tonight, whereas some images just haven't turned out as well. But like I said, this is close to like the 4-hour limit or minimum of what I want to shoot these images at, and just really pleased with the kind of the semi-final image of that we come up with there. Like I said earlier, I'll process more of this off stream, and just really tweak the colors as well, and just adjust the contrast so we're getting like the absolute most detail out of this image as possible. But overall, this looks like it's going to be a joy to kind of continue editing as well. And I will also go back and re-edit the other version of the Heart Nebula, and we'll kind of compare those side by side to really see what details are pulled out when you're shooting at longer focal length versus a wider focal length here. So yeah, usually we are doing live images of the night sky. However, being in the UK and being clouded out, it is not the ideal conditions tonight. But like I said before, following on Twitter, I will be putting more of the updates out when I'm going to be going live, probably within a few hours, or as much as possible. I try to give maybe even 8 hours notice, because the forecast will generally hold up for about that long, at least, so I know what's coming into my area. So it looks like that Tuesday, let's say Tuesday 11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, we'll look to go live and kind of go throughout the night there. I think I'll wrap things up at work, and maybe have my have a snooze there. I have a question to ask. I have a question to you as astrologer. Do you have a question regarding astronomy or astrology? I'm better suited to answer an astronomy question, but if you have an astrology question, we're open for astronomy. All right, cool. Nothing. I don't hold anything against people who follow astrology. That's their thing. But yeah, astronomy, and I'll do my best to answer any questions. And like I said before, if I don't have the answer, I will do what I can to come up with an answer a little later on, and kind of come back to people on those there. So usually, yeah, a lot of these images are going to be cut. This image that we shot is kind of based on 10-minute exposures, versus these were 4-minute exposures and 3.5 hours worth that are stacked up on top of each other. So what's the difference between astronomy and astrology? Astronomy is based on mathematics and physics and chemistry, and whereas astrology is based more on a belief in just how the way how the kind of the stars and planets have more of a divine information about about human affairs. So it is it's pseudoscience. At one point, however, there wasn't really a gap between astronomy and astrology, because when people first looked up at the night sky, there weren't any telescopes, where they were just looking at the stars and they were plotting those along with what stars were in the night sky and when to harvest, or when animals were kind of migrating. So they would kind of base their calendar off the position of the stars in the night sky. And as that kind of moved along, and people would start to tell stories of the night sky, and eventually it kind of had this divide between, here are the stories that people have created about the night sky and how everything kind of revolves around some certain gods and other deities and things like that. And where there's also the hard science of, yes, these are all balls of gas and of nuclear fusion, a reaction in the night sky, and they're comprised of hydrogen and helium and nitrogen and carbon, And so there was that divide. So at one point, yeah, they were together, but it's there is that split in what is the science and what is the belief system there. So it's to I don't fault anyone for basing their life off of astrology. So it's happy to have everybody. So sorry, crazy bro Athene. With the technology we have as humans, how does it come? There are no IP telescopes installed on satellites or space stations in space. So far where we can, or a fan of astronomy can connect and have colorful pictures of the stars. So you want to, why we don't have like telescopes on, say, like the International Space Station, something like that? So first of all, getting a satellite, cool. Getting a satellite or a camera into space can be expensive, and for people like us who are on the ground, it's tough to kind of, as a doing like backyard astronomy, it can be tough to kind of to get the funds together. Now there is a company called SpaceFab. And let me just pop that link up in there. It is a company that out of California that are working on a space telescope that is designed to be used by it'll be an app-controlled space telescope, and it's one of those things that they're just trying to open up as much of space as possible. So putting something on, say, the International Space Station, it's everything, every bit of weight needs to be accounted for in on a mission, on a launch, and to kind of retrofit the space station with a telescope wouldn't be, I guess, a practical thing. It almost would be more of a hobby. Also, the space station is moving. It's only about a few hundred miles above the Earth, so it's still moving at an incredible speed, orbiting the Earth about every 90 minutes. So whereas you want a space telescope, you want that to be in a very stable orbit. So whereas the space station is moving around the Earth too quickly to kind of get a meaningful image together there. But that's the link to SpaceFab, and what they're trying to do is to get a telescope up in space that is app controlled, and you're able to kind of get your own images. It'll also serve as for doing some scientific processes on there as well to benefit those, for like environmental monitor. And here, let me throw that link over there, or just kind of pops it up there. So SpaceFab, that's where the link is going to take you guys to, and there's tons of information. I've heard these guys talk on podcasts about what they're doing, and it just sounds like an amazing project that they're going to be getting into. Richard Dorset, how you doing? I have a Meade LX10 8-inch. Would this be good for astrophotography if appropriate mount was fitted? Let's have a look there. Meade LX10. Need to see the specs on this scope there. Looks like it's a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. I have had a Schmidt-Cassegrain before. Okay, there we go. Maybe this will give me some information. It's a PDF. It looks, how heavy is it? It looks like it's a larger scope. There we go. F10. So even what we're looking at right now, this scope it's F10, so it's going to take it's a kind of a slow scope in the sense of how quickly and efficiently the light is gathered and collected in there. And it's a 2000 millimeter focal length, so that would be really good for doing planetary imaging, for starters. However, you would definitely need it if you're going to be taking some images on a that just does look like an Altaz and equatorial mount. So I haven't used a mount like this myself. What I use is a Skywatcher EQ6R Pro, and it's a German equatorial mount. So it is basically better. That one is just pretty much specifically for astrophotography. And I'll get a picture of the scope there. Let's see. Sorry, just jumping quickly back to Crazy Bro. Did Elon Musk not put a webcam on the car he shot into space? There was a camera that was mounted onto his Tesla. However, it was I do believe that the signal from that wouldn't be as strong to kind of broadcast back to Earth from there. So it was a limited time that we were able to kind of see that in space there, and also just the amount of of almost no protection that was kind of offered to the whole car, that it will be if any debris that kind of hits it is going to cause incredible damage. Any radiation that's it's out there unprotected in space with no atmosphere, so it'll start to degrade. Possibly the electronics in the camera would stop working if it's not properly insulated. So we did have we had those great shots from when it was first launched, but if the camera wasn't set up for any long-term life, then that's something that would have to be, I guess, worked on for another mission there. Bubba Zelnik, have a good night. Thank you very much for coming in there. So it depends, Richard, what you want to get out of your imaging there. All right, Crazy Bro Athene, thank you very much for joining the observatory. Happy to have you join our community, and hopefully we see some more of you in the future. We usually do live astrophotography, but unfortunately, at the moment, we are completely clouded out and just at the mercy of some rain and wind at the moment there. So usually we want to be doing more live images of the night sky, but at the same time, when we do these rainy day astronomies, I'm just happy to have a chat with people there. So definitely thank you for joining in there. And going back to the so Weston, you're in Belgium, so you understand the frustration. Yeah, the weather can be all over the place. I think I might sell it and save up for something better suited. So what, Richard, what do you want to do? You want to do kind of like long exposure imaging, or you just want to do like observing? Because then it'll kind of depend on what we want to get out of it. Like I said, for this one, it'd be great for planetary. And also, kind of getting some of the smaller nebulae that are in the night sky there. I think something like, here, let me go Right. So something like this is an image from this scope is at about 1,000 millimeters we're shooting at with the scope currently. I'm using a focal reducer on this one, but let me find one of the planetary nebula that would actually be better suited for shooting a which one is it there? No. If you're shooting at like some nebulae at a longer focal length, you kind of lose a little bit of the overall structure. However, it does look a lot better in hang on one sec there. I know it's one of those things that I haven't memorized all these numbers. NGC 7662. I think I shot that one. Or was it the... No, 662. There's the Blue Snowball Nebula, or the Crystal Ball Nebula, would be a really good one to be shooting at like 2,000 millimeters. However, the one that I'm using has a native focal length of 1,600 millimeters, but I've popped on a 0.6 reducer on there, and it something like, what is this thing? This is the not a great example of the Wizard Nebula. No, that's at 250 millimeters. That's not a good example. Yeah, if you're doing deep space art, well, here's a kind of an example of things. This is the Fishhead Nebula, which is shot at about 1,000 millimeters with the scope that we have set up right now, and we're just able to get a lot more detail. And this is like that one little part of the Heart Nebula. Of which what we've shot tonight, or what we've imaged or processed tonight. All right, cool, Alpha. That's no worries. Thanks. Thank you for the lurk. We'll kind of be slowly wrapping things up. I know it's only 11:30, but it's been a bit of a long Saturday, and eventually I'll start to wind things down. But yeah, thank you for Alpha. Thank you so much for that music. That is beautifully composed, and yeah, just happy I was able to to inspire you in that way. All right, why isn't this showing? Now, we did process the Heart Nebula tonight, and it just doesn't want to show. That's the thing with Photoshop doing an OBS. It doesn't always want to cooperate. mildly frustrating. All right, old balls. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much for coming in there. And congrats on the sales of the trucks there. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear people are still buying trucks. So yeah, the telescope that we're using, unfortunately, Photoshop doesn't want to play ball at the moment. Like I said, I have used a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, and it was only a 5-inch scope, and it was about the same focal ratio, maybe a little slower. And for shooting deep space, I really had to put in a lot of time to get a decent image out of that scope, because like faint objects really need a lot of integration time. It also depends on what kind of camera you want to use on there as well. What were you thinking about there, Richard? Because obviously, if you're using more of an astronomy dedicated camera, at least that sensor is going to be able to better process the light coming through, and you won't have to deal with so much noise. So while you do have to do a longer integration time, you're going to have lower noise, so you're able to better preserve that signal coming through. So you have a CCD camera. All right, cool. I'm assuming that'll be monochrome then, or is it a one-shot color? Yeah, because this is the type of scope that I'm shooting with. So it is the Richie Chrétien design. All right, mono. So you have filters. All right, so you were definitely going with the mono camera. At least then, yeah, you're going to be able to have a little more efficiency with that, because you're not going to be sharing out those sharing those photons across a Bayer matrix. So yeah, I think at that focal length, at 2000 millimeters, generally a lot of people go off-axis guiding. So I haven't tried that myself, but I have seen that even at the focal length of 1600 millimeters that I'm shooting at, I think that I would have limited options doing using a guide scope. Whereas I think at that point I would probably have to move to off-axis guiding to at least better compensate for any, any flexure, any issues that might kind of crop up with a guide scope mounted on top of there. However, for the most part, things have worked out for me fairly well right now. So I don't feel that that kind of draw towards getting an off-axis guider, and that does start to come. Like an off-axis guider, I think. How much is that? Like they're you're adding almost, maybe, at least for me, I think it's about 200 some odd pounds for one of those, which, I guess you're paying for the for that convenience and that the tool and the way how that prism is set up in there, and in the end, if you get more accurate guiding, then that's really good. However, on my end, that's not going to be, that's kind of low on my priority list. But I do see the benefits of off-axis guiding. And that's yeah, kind of the way a lot of people go for those longer focal lengths, just to improve the accuracy of your guiding overall. So yeah, like I said, this is a similar setup to the scope that we're using. I mean, the same design. It is obviously the GSO, like the kind of standard model, but I think I have a Losmandy bar on the top and bottom there, and that's where my guide scope is attached to. And you know, at 980 millimeters is what we're shooting at with the focal reducer. It's been all right. There have been some issues with guiding, and I think that also kind of comes down to just the settings and what has been used with the ASI Air, and you know, just some of the changes that have come from the upgrades in their software, which has caused a little bit of problem for me. Now, you can't see it in my studio. There's a refrigerator right beside me. So I am able to easily refill my water with ease. But yeah, to kind of circle back to your original question there, Richard, about the scope. If you're able to put in the time with it, and I would almost suggest how heavy is that scope actually? Because that would be, that would kind of also depend on which mount you want to get. And I'm going to figure that if Meade is kind of pushing this this fork mount with this scope, then that's going to work out there. I just want to see the weight, because then it'll depend on what kind of mount you're going to get. And why does that? Am I not seeing the shipping weight? Total telescope weight is 49 pounds. So I think even with, yeah, the mount that I'm using, the EQ6R Pro, that might be pushing the, for something like that, you'd have to go maybe even higher, like something, either if you're going to use like the fork mount from Meade, or even the Celestron. Oh, I forgot the model number. It's it's a beefier mount. It's one of the more recent mounts that have been put out there. We have the CGX XL. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Or is it just the CGX? Because that one is a little beefier, and I think it has a higher payload. Load capacity of 55 pounds. Even then, that might be, you're kind of pushing it with the weight, because you have to take into account the counterweights on there. So maybe it is like their fork mount that would be better there, better to use there. Or even like a central weighted equatorial mount. So you're kind of, you know, you're not off, kind of, you know, off with the German equatorial mount, which is the payload is kind of put on the front of the whole scope there, whereas the central equatorial mount is in the middle there. Mojo Jojo, how are you? We have some emotes working. There are some emotes that are coming through, some that are not. That samurai one that I had collected doesn't seem to be working there. I haven't been on the the Twitch the Twitch channel, so I haven't been able to collect any of these other dropped emotes, unfortunately. So those look pretty cool. I like that mustache with the flaming eyes. That's funny. And a stinky glitch. Kind of looks like a dollar store SpongeBob. Yeah, so hopefully that I know it's a bit of a labored answer, but hopefully Richard, that can help you out a little bit. You know, I can really only almost, I would say expertly advise, but from experience with what mounts I've used, and it's there's been like really 3, and that was the I had the Star Adventurer, a Celestron Alt-Az mount, and this one currently the Skywatcher EQ6R Pro. So yeah, hopefully it kind of helps a little bit. Like I said, that scope would be really good for planetary, good for some of the smaller nebulae in the sky. Globular clusters would look fantastic at that focal length as well. You'd probably be able to get a lot of you'd probably be able to resolve some of the stars better than some shorter focal lengths that are shot at there. And also because it is a slower scope, but the stars are brighter, they're not going to overflow. You know, they're not going to really start to bloat out there in the images. So, yeah, I think brighter objects would work really well with that scope overall. Now, why? I don't know why Photoshop likes to be a pain. And I think one of my first attempts at doing a live stream was supposed to be focusing on the globular clusters, and it went spectacularly wrong. I was hoping to have connected my my mobile phone to the eyepiece and use that to broadcast over Facebook Live, and it just went downhill. So there's been a big learning curve from that time until now. All right, I'm gonna need sleep. All right, Alpha, thank you very much for joining in. Thank you very much for the song. I'm gonna get that incorporated into things as quickly as possible. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for stopping by and joining in on things. And yeah, have a fantastic night, and we'll see you soon. And hopefully we'll do some Phasmo as well. So we'll work that into the schedule. Have a good one, man. All right, awesome. Take care, dude. Now, why isn't Photoshop? And I wanted to have one last look at the Heart Nebula here, but Photoshop does not want to cooperate. Is that gonna work? You gonna play ball, Photoshop? It does not. It does not want to. That's unfortunate. Now you see, we can see that that's there. I'm gonna have to. I've seen Putsy do his video. Here's some Photoshop work on there, and his artboard has showed up. So I'm gonna find out what he's doing, or maybe I just have to change it like a window capture. No, it almost comes in. No. Oh well, that is the that's the way how how OBS can go, unfortunately. So that is that's all right, but we'll get that sorted out. I don't know. We'll make sure that Photoshop can be a little more. Putsy, you are here. You are still here. I've seen you work in Photoshop, and your window seems to show up with ease. Are you doing a window capture or a game capture? What's your what are you using in OBS to show Photoshop? Because I've had a heck of a time getting this to work there. Window capture. All right, let me try that one more time. Oh wait, no. Because what I'm using on here is a little jiggery pokery on game capture for Photoshop. Display capture. Oh, look, the internet crapped out again. Was anybody timing that? Use display capture. I see. Right, we'll get this sorted out. Now, it also might be that no, it doesn't work there. I think it needs to be on, if I'm doing display capture, it needs to be on my other monitor. And I mean, I guess, okay, that changes things up a bit though. All right, let me try this out. We'll see how this goes. This is going to be a little inception going on in a second here, but we're going to see if this works. Actually, here, let's do this, and God. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, maybe everything kind of breaks apart. All right, and actually let's run a stinger here, so I have a second to No worries. No, I would not fault you for saying goodbye to your mom. No worries. Right. I think the issue that I'm facing is that this seems to be working out now. We can see everything, and can we see the tools? Oh, that's on the. Wrong screen there. Holy potatoes. All right, so here's the... All right, come on back. Come on back, Internet. I need you back. Damn, Twitch is... I think I want to say that it is my browser, but I think it might actually be Twitch. Right, are we back? Looks like we're kind of back. Little streamception going on. There we are. We're back for now. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to switch things up a little bit there and kind of move screens around, because it looks like this is showing exactly what we want. We're able to see the tools. You know, those are popping up there. Yeah, because when I was researching how to, you know, how things in Photoshop displayed, people are saying, "Oh, use this this option. Use the game capture to make a display." But I think it's just the resolution on the screen that might have been mucking things up there. So I need it to be on this display, which is also covering up OBS. So, oh, such is things. And I also have this isn't layered correctly. This is on the very top. So hey, we're looking in behind the curtain. Oh, little streamception. There's so many of me. Oh, there really isn't much of a delay. So if I go back to... No, I got a 2-monitor setup, but for some reason the... there we go. That's a little better. For... I have OBS on my other screen, and then my laptop monitor is it's also a 4K monitor, so that also might be something where it's not able to downsample to that level there. So I think yeah. We'll move out of that there. There's a lot of work going on at the moment there, so it's well, you know how things go when you're editing on stream. Everything can just go to pot. And I'm probably getting some serious lag at the moment. But I'm going to close Photoshop. And I don't need to do anymore. I've already saved that down there. So yeah, we will we look to wind things down a bit, and as I say that, oh, it's probably the whole equipment. I'm trying to do like 8,000 things at once on here, and it's not. After refreshing, your audio and video sync up. All right, so it was probably me mucking around with the with Photoshop and just moving screens and just causing a whole bunch of chaos within the setup there. So I think I'm going to, on that note, with everything kind of going crazy, and we've kind of reached a natural stopping point, and it seems like we've kind of reached the lower amount of viewers on the channel at the moment. And let's see who is around. Yeah, oof. OBS is kicking up. Oh, Firefox is having a field day with the CPU. Let's close some windows here. Let's get rid of some of this baloney and calm things down for a second. And yeah, I think we'll kind of wind things down for the night. I do thank those who have popped in, those who have stayed around for a while, those who kind of stuck around and lurked for the whole stream. I appreciate you guys so much for all of that. I appreciate the subscriptions that have come in from Paul Rowe, and the gifted sub that Paul Rowe gave to First Fusion. Thank you guys so much. I can't thank Alpha Unity enough for that song that he composed, and yeah, just absolutely blown away by that. And really, something like that means much more than any. I mean, not to to put him up on a pedestal, but I mean, it's just one of those things that it's. He said that the work that I've been doing had inspired him to compose something like that, and that's just one of those things that money can't buy, and it's just it feels really good. And I've been inspired by other people before, and it's humbling that I've inspired someone else. So yeah, it's just one of those. Really, I can't put it into words, and really what I can just best do is like kind of show my appreciation for him in the future, and that song is going to become a part of the stream, and yeah, we'll get it in there, and definitely credit the hell out of it for him, because that's some really good work that's come up on there. Taking pictures of happy stars. All right, and up here we're going to put a nice little quasar, and it's not going to harm anybody. It's far enough away. So we will. I think I'm going to send you guys over to Random British Dude. He's playing Phasmophobia. However, he's got some really entertaining stuff on his channel. He streams for hours and hours at a time, and yeah, he's a bit of a fun bloke. So I will start to wrap things up, and we will pass you guys over to Random British Dude. And once again, yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys so much for hanging around and chatting, and hopefully I've been enough of a help, or at least kind of point you guys in the right direction to better focus your intentions on what you want to do with the night sky, what you want to see with the night sky. And like I said, we're going to aim to be back on Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time for live astrophotography, if the weather holds up. I'm really hoping it does, because it's been long enough with the clouds. We want to capture some new photons there. So, like I said, I will wrap this up, send you over to Random British Dude. And yes, that'll be it for tonight. So thank you guys once again for staying in. I have been Tom. I am the Astro Canuck, and I'm not here to change the world. I'm here to share the universe. Thank you guys very much for staying in, and we will see you soon. Have a very good night.